Yes.
Hey, welcome. This is so wonderful. Okay, now we can get it going. Now we got Short Film Saturday kicked off officially. So exciting. So I would like to start by telling everyone a little bit about Soleil and our mission. So Soleil is all about trying to achieve more equitable and representative global media landscape through film, obviously, television, and branded content, right? So our focus is on the global diasporas of Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, with the goal of elevating untold stories in these cultures, forming a closer transcultural community bonds, and providing opportunities and resources for our creators to produce premium world-class content. All super awesome stuff. Super all about just uplifting those underrepresented voices. So that's what Soleil is all about. So my name is Nase. I am going to be the host of Short Film Saturday today. So then I would love for Nadira for you to introduce yourself, and then we'll pass it off to Odenike as well to introduce herself.
Sure. And just to let you know, I saw that Lala is in the chat and that she sent a request. So she's also here.
All right, I will bring her up right now.
Yeah, so my name is Nadira. I'm half of Malikuli Film Festival. We started this festival in 2013. There's a lot of hey. We started this festival in 2013 with the aim of giving a bigger platform to Nigerian, especially high-quality Nigerian films. They're one of the largest producers of the world. Recent years, as of last year, we were all online because of the pandemic, of course, but we also use that as an opportunity as we had a larger audience and people could join from around the world. We use it as an opportunity to allow film from around the world, from the African diaspora, the Black diaspora, which we continue to do this year because a lot of filmmakers of color were inspired by filmmakers of Nigeria to just go out there, tell their stories, make films for their audiences. Pretty inspiring. So, yeah, from May 5th to 8th, 2022, we will have our ninth edition of the festival, where we will feature a handful of Nigerian collections and some films as well from the rest of the diaspora. And the film today, the short film with Lala. Lala knows the festival really well. She's been there as an actress, as a director for the film Nine. She's been in capacities now, and so I'm happy about the presentation today of her film Nine. I'll hand it over to
them. Awesome. Odenike, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. Hi, my name is Odenike. I'm the director of the film. I made this film based on, well, Lala and I discussed, and we wanted to do something that was meaningful, and this was something that was close to my heart, and we thought it was the perfect time. It was a discussion that needed to be had. So yeah, we made this film with love and struggle. And Lala was an amazing producer. I was very blessed to be able to do my first film with such an experienced and well-rounded filmmaker that pretty much made my life very, very easy. And as an actor, she's amazing. So yeah, I'm excited that we get to see this film again today. The first time we showed it was at Nollywood Week, and Nollywood Week has been super supportive ever since. So thank you so much.
Awesome. And Lala, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh yes. First of all, I have to say you might hear a child in the background. Forgive me, handicap.
No
you might. But that being said, my name is Lala Akindoju. I'm an actor and a producer. Been working in Nollywood actively for 16 years. Fine is the first film I executive produced with my company. So I run a production company called Make It Happen Productions. Odenike, I mean, away from serious conversations, she's one of my babies. And I'm very proud of her and her journey. She started off as an actor and she's grown to this writer, director. And I also believe in paying things forward. So on the one hand, Odenike wanted to have this conversation. This is a topic dear to her heart. And on the other hand, we've been talking a lot about wanting to direct and all of that. So, I wanted to also, shine light on this topic, but also challenge myself as an actor. So I said, what, girl, you come through. You want to direct a film? I'll find the money. I'll do everything in my power to make sure that I surround you with the right crew. I'll do everything within my power to make sure that, this first experience of yours is not horrible. And I'll do my best to push the film and put your name. And that was how we birthed Fine. Odenike wrote it and directed it. And she didn't look like a first-time director, to be honest. She knew exactly what she wanted. And for me, as actor, producer, executive producer, all at once, it was a lot. But I'm so glad that, it's a labor of love. This project is a labor of love. It was also something to test the waters and see, okay. And I feel like at least Odenike can say, I've directed a film, which is she can go ahead to do greater things, do a feature, do many more, do series, And even for us at the Make It Happen Productions, it was important. And so I was very happy that we moved, first of all, to Nollywood Week, which was where we first screened. And it was very well received, which says a lot. It's 3 years now since we made the film. We're hoping for more things to do with the film. So yeah, I'm like, okay, people are gonna watch it today. Let's do that.
Amazing, amazing. I'm so excited for everyone to see this awesome film. So here's how it's going to work. We are going to post a link in the chat, but there is also a link in the Soleil Space bio that people can click on to watch the film, because we're not watching it on Instagram Live, we'll be watching it on YouTube Live, actually. During that time, nothing will be happening here, so the three of you can turn off your cameras and hop off the live. Everyone will watch it on YouTube. Once the film is done, we'll come back over here, we'll bring our cameras back on, and then we'll do the Q&A. Okay? So I see Beth has already put the link in the chat, so everyone watching could click on that link there, or if you want to
the
just
link
go
is
to
also in your bio right now. The link is also in your bio for everyone to go watch. I don't know why I'm now even feeling nervous about this. Okay, everyone go watch it.
Don't worry, you know all the answers to the questions, all right? Sorry, we're going to watch it first, and we'll be right back here to do the Q&A.
Okay. All right then. Bye.
Bye.
Wonderful. That was such a good short film. I'm so excited that we get to talk about it. So to kick things off, the easiest question of all, what started this all? What was the inspiration for you to create the short film, Fine? I know we touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but bringing it back to that.
Okay, I like how you're speaking very happy and excited, because it's really, really sad. But
I don't want people to cry while they're watching this. We did the crying during the film, and now we're bringing it back up.
Yes, happy vibes. Okay. Yeah, it's very simple. I was very depressed, and I didn't think I had any reason to be. So then I started researching about it, and I realized it was a sickness, So I realized that there's so many people also, from asking people and just reading about it, I found out that so many people were depressed for different reasons, for no reason at all. And it just made me start to write about it. And so when Lala said we should make a film, I was like, let's make a film about this. A lot of people will be able to connect with this, or let's see if people will connect with this. And we had a showing one time at I think it was Silverbird for Joy Inc., I think. And the number of people that walked up to me and said, this is exactly how I feel made me really wonder at how crazy it is. So yeah, that was the inspiration. Yeah.
Absolutely. Depression can be so isolating. I do think a lot of people have these feelings and feel like it is just them and that no one else is feeling that way. So then to see it represented on the screen and see, okay, no, like you said, oh, that is exactly how I'm feeling. For someone to see that and be like, okay, well, obviously, if someone was able to put this to the screen, it's not just me feeling that way. And I think that can bring people a lot of comfort. So that is just wonderful. So for foreign audience members, anyone who's not in Nigeria, how is depression and mental illness spoken about or regarded in Nigeria?
Lala, do you want to take that?
It's not spoken about as much as it should, which is another reason why making this film was important, because we wanted to be able to create a platform for this conversation to be had. One person in particular who was also very vocal about her journey with depression she's a magazine publisher.
Sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off. There is a bit of feedback, so if, while we're not speaking, if we could put our mics on mute so that we're not hearing the same person over. So sorry about that. Lala, go ahead.
No problem. So I was saying that in Nigeria, depression isn't spoken about well enough, because usually Africans and Nigerians call depression the white man's disease. So it's not something that we have. Oh, somebody says they're depressed. No, we're not depressed. Oh, we don't get depressed, or we pray it away or something. But people are depressed in Nigeria. People are depressed. People have it as a medical condition, and people need to treat it as such. So making this film for me was like fantastic. This is the right tool to use to start this conversation and to educate people and to let people know that sometimes nothing has to be wrong. And I put that wrong in inverted commas. Like, you don't have to maybe be suffering from grief or from loss, or you don't have to lose a job, or you don't have to be having a terminal illness to be depressed. It's actually an illness that is medically diagnosed. And I was using the example of somebody, Auntie Betty Rabo, who had spoken a lot about her journey with depression. And she said, look, when she told people she was depressed, they were like, how can you be depressed? You're rich, you're successful, look at your children, look at your husband, look at your business. And people couldn't understand how she was depressed. And you find that there's so many people in that position. So what happens is, instead of getting help, people suffer in silence. People are suffering and smiling. People don't want to be stigmatized. People don't want to be called names, and they're not getting the right kind of help. So the first thing I wanted to let people know is that, look, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. There's something wrong, but it's not your fault. And it's okay. The same way somebody is being diagnosed with malaria is the same way you can be diagnosed of depression. And it's okay if things are okay, like if you have a great job, you have a great family, you have money, you can still be depressed. So in Nigeria, depression isn't really spoken about like it should, but we hope, and there've been, in the last year or two, I dare say, there'll be more organized, more conversations around this. There are more platforms. There's Mentally Aware, there's Joy Incorporated. There are many people who are now being intentional about having these conversations and letting people know, especially young people. But I don't think it's refined to any age. And lots of our parents are depressed, and they don't know. Sure. And they need help, but they won't get it because me depressed, talk to a counselor. What's that? It's not African, So yeah, but there's hope. It's getting better.
Wow, that's really interesting, especially as someone who's never been to Nigeria, to kind of know how this topic is spoken about in different countries is really interesting. I definitely think there is parallels with the Black American diaspora of that idea of praying it away, that idea of, no, that's for white people. We don't get that. That's not us. These are just essentially things that are made up. Of course, anyone can get depressed, but just this idea that we've been through so much and we're going to be through more. So put that idea out of your head and then it'll go away. It's something I've noticed in the U.S. specifically. So then bringing it back to the film, how did the title come to be? The title Fine.
Um, I don't remember specifically, but I'm guessing it's just, how we ask everybody the question, how you doing? And you just say you're fine. Definitely that happens for me. It's funny because now I'm more conscious of people ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, oh, I'm broke, send funds. Or, I just say like how I'm feeling, but definitely you definitely don't want to like do like too much information. You're not gonna be like, oh, I am right now having a headache and diarrhea, but you don't want to do that. But still, it's just basically the norm to say you're fine when anybody asks you how you're doing, and that was where that came from. Kind of like we all say we're fine, but are we really? So
Yeah,
Are we really?
So you co-wrote this film with Ifelanwa Osundalire. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. What was the writing process like, and please let us know how to say the name correctly, since that's so important.
Ifelanwa Oshunjulire. Ife is an amazing writer, and he's an architect. And he loves film. He loves filmmaking, everything around it. And he just always, he has like blogs, he's on Medium, and he's always writing, and he's always like, you're a writer, you're in the industry, I want to write with you. And I'm like, I think you're a better writer than me, but okay. But I had like the screenwriting expertise. So we actually the process was more like we spoke about the film in so many different ways. We didn't really even, I'll be honest, we didn't talk about the film. We didn't talk about the script for a long time. We would meet up and talk about stories of people that were in this situation, and stories about people that he knew, and he's much older, so he knows like he had so many interesting stories of people that he knew that were depressed. And I would be like amazed because he might not give me names, but he'd be like, this person is so successful, and I know. And when they open up to me, maybe like at a business meeting, or somebody would just break down, and he's like, sorry, what? I'm getting millions from this woman. Why is she in tears at this moment? And so we just had those sessions where we would talk about stories and how and why this was happening to the best of our knowledge. And literally that was the process, to be honest. We just would sit, have a drink, and talk about this situation. And so that's how, and so we had so many drafts. It was a really complicated script initially. And then we just came all the way back to, let's just make it a simple monologue, and and it's funny because that's his son. The boy in the film is his son. Yeah, we're like, yeah. So yeah, that was the writing process. That was the process we went through. We talked it to death. And it was actually very cathartic, is that the word? For us, for me especially. And it was just very good to have. It felt like there should be many more of it, to be honest, because this film kind of captures the essence of one woman's experience a little, but I feel like there were so many stories that came out of the process of writing this one story. So yeah.
Very interesting. So then, running to the visuals for the film, blues and reds seem to very much be at the forefront. For Fine's color palette, could you please tell us why those colors were chosen and what they were representing?
So I had a conversation with DP Femi Awojide, who I personally think is the best DP in Nigeria. And we talked about, he was like, the blues, it sounds very, I don't know, but it's just, the blues are for the blues, like you're blue. Literally, it's not super esoteric. It's just the blues are to show that this woman is blue, simply, and she's also it's beautiful. It shows like, because I mean, it's at night we see her life, her nightlife, where everybody's gone to bed, nobody's there with her. So we have her in the midst of people, but she's isolated, and that's kind of the feel I was going for in the film, which is why we never see anybody else with her when she's in her private moments. Even in the day, like, she has people walk around her, we see shadows, but we never actually see anyone, because in that situation you feel like you are alone, regardless of how many people are around you. If you're in a city, so right, like, you can be in Obalende bus stop. That's like a very, very busy place in Lagos, and you will feel alone. And that was kind of what we were trying to project with those colors and that mood and the sound and everything. So yeah, that's pretty much what we were going for: the blues, the sadness, and just the disparity between her life in the day, where everything seems, you know, bright and happy, as opposed to at night where she comes home to cry.
Very nice, very effective, clearly. So I also really love, you kind of mentioned the stark contrast of how the protagonist feels and how she presents herself to others. So I think that's something super relatable for people, especially in this age of social media. We very much feel the need to put on a face for people. So was this character based on anyone in particular?
No.
Okay.
I actually, it's more interesting that the characters that we hear of that are depressed are very bubbly and lively. And it's interesting because, like, people that are not, it tends to be like, oh yeah, it's true, she's probably depressed, because they're introverts or they're quiet. So it's not very easy to tell when they have this issue. Like, you can't tell. But the truth is, you can't tell regardless of who it is, unless they speak about it. So it's easier to, like, visually portray a person who is super, super excitable and, you know, out there, and then we see them in their other life where they're unhappy. So that's why I decided to use the bubbly character, because it's clear that this person is not happy, but nobody can tell. If you're introverted, people ask you, are you okay, a lot, just because you're not making I sit in a party sometimes and I'm enjoying myself, but I'm just sitting down having a drink and I'm having the time of my life. But people think I'm not, I'm not having fun. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm enjoying watching you dance. Please go ahead. But that is not easy to tell when you're, when it's just you being quiet or you being sad or depressed. So yeah, that's why I chose a more lively character.
If I can jump into that, I did. Yeah, that was like one of the things that for us, when we were, initially reviewing the film, that we loved, was using that character, and that is a bubbly socialite, and when we see her kind of switch on, because like you said, and like that was mentioned before, but just in our cultures, African American and African cultures, is mental health is not clearly understood or addressed. And so because of that, we can sometimes just assume someone looks sad, they must be sad. Someone looks happy, they must be happy. And we don't understand that there's so many, a lot of times, not addressed, all those different layers. And it is sometimes these people that are really always out and can perform in front of people and bubbly, that, that there is other, and we don't, and like you said, we don't ask them. We assume that they must be living a great life. They must be happy. They're looking at them, and that made it drove the point home much further, I think, for a lot of people to see that element. And, especially like juxtaposing it like that, where the person who's really depressed in the darkness, and she's like at the party outside with her friends, and her friends. So then it also shows that even like our friends and people who are close to us might not even understand what's going on.
Yeah,
I thought that was an excellent way to portray that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that's a perfect segue actually into my next question about the ending. So obviously it's a rather sad film, but for the character, the film ends with her drinking and celebrating poolside with her girls. Why did you choose to end the film that way?
Because it's basically, for me, it just meant there was no resolution. Like, she didn't address the issue, and she just kept on going, which can be very damaging, I think. And it's what usually happens. And I feel like anybody watching would feel, that's what I wanted the reaction to be, because that was what it was for me. Like, dude, get help. Why are you pretending? And so we see, because it keeps going back and forth between how she's living her life in private versus how she's portraying herself to the world. And for me, watching it feels very exhausting. I think, for the character. And I think Lala did an amazing job portraying those two different women, because it was like one person playing two different characters. And it's just like, for me, I thought that was very heart-wrenching. Like, you seeing someone be something that they really are. You can see that it's performative. You can see that it's really not what they feel like doing. I mean, she started off crying in front of this little boy, and she just walks across the pool to have drinks with her friend, and she switches. And that's really what happens a lot of the time. And we see it in a lot of movies, especially like movies with like women at work. They go into the toilet, they cry, and then they come out and they have their game faces on. And you're just like, you need to go home. You need a mental health day. Those things are, I think that's what I was hoping would come out of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Totally agree. So then, on a bit of a lighter note, with every film, there's always something. Were there any obstacles to getting this film made? Any difficulties that came up on set?
I think I should answer that. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching the film. I've been seeing some comments on people saying how they felt about the film. I didn't watch it with you guys because I'm always very shy watching my work. So thank you everyone who's saying they liked it or it was intense. Thank you. I think that is what we wanted to make. Again, I say it was a film made with a lot of love. And we made it 3 years ago. It was a first for both of us. So yes, thank you for that. That's number one. Number two is I saw there's a member of our crew, J Beautiful. She did the makeup, and she was the third girl in that circle. She just, jumped in with us. J Beautiful. I saw her here. I don't know if she's still here, but Jennifer, making the film. Yeah, I don't know if she's still here, but Jennifer did all the makeup for the film. She helped with picking the colors for the costumes. And she just swung in and became an actor on the set, which goes to answer your question about, the obstacles in making the film. Because I wanted to make this film, I was funding it myself. Suffice it to say that what I thought was the budget didn't turn out to be the budget. Mm-hmm. No. And the budget went up even there and then. Because I wanted it to be ready for Nollywood Week the following year. It mattered to me that we finished filming it then. And you have your plan. You're like, oh, we're going to make a short film. We're going to finish it in one day, all of that. And so, I was wearing 3 hats. I was executive producer, I was producer, and I was actor. And I mean, it was a lot because then we had to find a location on the day. So we found a hotel, and I must give my husband a shout out. He was very helpful from 24 hours, just helping us find that location. And of course, you're looking for a location you don't want to pay for because it's a short film. It's not really commercial. You're self-funding, all of that. And so we found the location, but then we had limited time because we had to get out of there before their day started. And we're shooting by the pool, and it was a weekend because I was the only free day, So trust me, obstacles plenty. And then we finished there. We had to rush back. So we shot every other thing in my house, used my kitchen to shoot it. Just had the crew sleeping all over the house. And I remember, I didn't care, the camera was calibrating or something funny. And so for hours, we were just sleeping. We couldn't do anything. you know, and you're just like, but this is just a small film, you know. But you know, in filmmaking, nothing is small,
No.
nothing is tiny. And you know, then there was post-production,
Oh my
you know. But
God.
I'm just really excited. Femi Awodide just joined our DP.
Yeah.
Hey Femi,
Hey,
hey Femi, hi.
Our
You know,
DP.
Odenike gave you your flowers and called you. She was like, "You're the best DP in Nigeria. Get it, get it." You know? Anyway, so but again, yes. So there were obstacles. You know, I mean, on set we didn't run into any. Oh my God, there is no money. But that's because I had already stabbed myself, borrowed, stolen, begged, just to have enough money. But then with post production, Odenike will come and say, Lala, something good this. Oh, the sound here. We have to go back to the studio. We have to find the right editor. We have to find the right music. And oh, did you guys know that I did the soundtrack? Did you guys know the
Yes.
original?
Yep.
Originally
She
created.
sang the music.
Created. The song is mine.
And it was
The song is
it's
mine.
amazing.
Especially written for this film. I'm clapping for myself. As you can see, I'm
Take
my
your
head.
flowers, Lala.
But anyways, that song even needs to be finished. But I used the song for something else. But anyways, yeah. So we had all these other things that, for me as a producer, I didn't budget for, but then they became important because then you had to finish the film. So yes, there were all the obstacles, and then I guess we just surmounted it, which is why I personally am big on team spirit, especially when I'm producing. I'm particular about who I'm around, who I hire, who's on the team, because things will go wrong. But I dare say that we made fine with family. Everybody was family, from, of course, Odenike, myself, Femi, Jennifer, the crew members, you know, everybody was family. So I hope that spirit translated even on the film, you know. And so that's to the question on the obstacles.
Amazing, amazing. So this question is for both Odenike and Lala. Who is your favorite filmmaker? I know this is a hard one always, but I'm asking it anyway.
I have no idea where to, like, there's filmmakers, there's so many different roles in filmmaking, so
Exactly.
Okay, I'll specify favorite director.
Wow.
Okay. I need to think about that for a minute because it changes like with every new film.
Season. You know, sometimes you're focused on a particular person's work, and then other times you're watching another person's work, and you're just like, oh.
I think like right now I don't have a favorite director because I've been like submerged in so many short films, and I'm meeting, not like for real, but like I'm seeing so many new people's work. Like on YouTube, there's this Omeletto, I don't know if you know it, where I just like binge short films, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so many amazing filmmakers out there. So I can't like there's too many. I'm spoiled for choice. And I'm just really inspired by so many people right now that I can't pick one person. I'm sorry. I'm also very much in the learning process. So I just went to film school in Paris. So I'm still like doing so much research and watching so many new films, old films that I haven't seen yet that I should have seen, you know. So there's so much and so many people that I'm newly admiring, and there's a lot.
Awesome. Lala, how about you?
I mean, so like Odenike, I don't have a favorite. I would say, I mean, so I'm a fan of my mentor's work. My mentor is Akimoto Show.
I was expected to hear Akimoto Show.
I'm a fan of his work. You know, I'm a permanent student in his school. I don't just like his style of filmmaking. I like how he handles. Yeah, you can hear the child now. The child has featured.
Why are you saying the child? My child.
Okay. Anyways, so Akimoto Show is definitely somebody's work I love. I love how he tells stories. But I guess I also like Christopher Nolan. So I'm also like there's seasons for me where you're just watching this person's work, or you know, and of course everybody watches all the greats, but yeah, I'm also taking time to understand African filmmakers and, understand the voices that African filmmakers use, to tell their stories, and the consistency with them and style and all of that. And like Olenike said, there are many parts to filmmaking. So sometimes you're in love with somebody, as an actor, like, you're like, if this person is on screen, the screen is always going to light up. So you're studying those people, you're studying all their work, all of that. So yes, that's the answer. That's the answer to that question.
Very nice, very nice. So we can include Nadira on this question as well. What are you currently watching, or something you've watched recently that you would like to recommend to the people watching this live stream? Is anything you saw recently that you would recommend?
Well, for me, I think people should watch short films on Omeletto. I don't know if I'm late to the party, but I just see so many. There's a new film every time, and I'm just meeting so many new filmmakers that are inspiring me every day. So there's like a plethora, like just go crazy, go and watch all these films. It's like everything has been handpicked for you. It's like watching like the like the staff peaks on Vimeo, just really good stuff. So yeah, I would recommend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's even with your last question about favorite director, you're almost setting them up, because, but in a good way, because we're in a time now which I feel like that question before, like 20 years ago, when the industry was so limited and it was only like a few of the top like studio kind of directors that you had out there, and people would say, oh, I love like, Tarantino or this one. Like you had these particular names that went around the world, but all like from a particular kind of society and group. And now we're really in a time where there's just so much, and there's so many directors and so many different styles and so many different filmmakers, and on all different platforms. I mean, it's like the content is really coming through, and and it's changing so quickly as well. Like you don't really necessarily have that filmmaker that's there and everyone waits for their thing, I mean, you still have that, like, but in addition, then you have all these new voices that are also constantly coming out. I mean, even for us with the festival, where the submissions that we receive, it's every season it's something different. Like we're amazed with someone, and we're like, oh, we hope they return, but then we suddenly get like a bunch of new other voices, and it's constantly that. And I think that's like one of the great things about the time we're living in. So even with this question, I was thinking when you were saying that, like, what is something to watch back? It's not, I can't really, I agree with what Nikki is like, you can't just pick one thing. You have to say, like, you really kind of have to explore what's out there, because there's so much great content. Unfortunately, it's still kind of getting overlooked. Yeah, but it's like
to come to Nollywood Week to see all your recommendations. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, come to Nollywood, we can see some of the ones we did. But even with our festival, sometimes there's things that we even wish we can add, and that was actually why we added the short film category, was because they explained that some of the difficulties that they had in making their film. They also explained, in terms of budget and everything, that even making a small or short piece of content, I should say, not small, but like even making short content, it takes so much. Yeah. A lot of directors, they might not be able to have like the budgets to make a feature film, or the time, or whatever. And so they'll make a short film, and these are like excellent directors and writers that are, still putting DPs and everyone that's still putting into these short films. And it's such a miss, because we don't put them in, new movie theaters. We don't put them, now platforms are starting to be things like that. But that was why for us in the festival it was really important, to say, let's open it up to short films and showcase it, because there were so many interesting directors, so much interesting content, a lot of interesting themes, new themes that come out, and also willing to take more risk in terms of some of these themes. So, so I would say, like look at a lot of short films. Like you'll see a lot of great and interesting things in short films. Look on platforms. There's a lot of things that are opening up now, and what filmmakers need are the eyeballs. So look at this content, look at these, share it with your friends, talk about it, and to help us keep this industry going and that cycle continue.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I totally agree with them. But there's one film that I love. It's Atlantics. Atlantics. It's not in English. It's an African film, and it was the representative for its country at the Oscars 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They got on the long list. They got on the short list as well, and gosh, that film is beautiful. Oh, Atlantics. Everybody, every African storyteller should go watch that film.
We
It's
gotta check it
beautiful.
out then.
Yep. You can say anywhere that Lala recommended Atlantics to you. So for me, that's like standard. Like, so when I'm thinking of, as a filmmaker, when I'm thinking of, oh, I want to make a film, I'm thinking of Atlantics, I'm thinking of Roma, you know, films that dare but then still remain authentic. Yes, Adriel, hi. Atlantics was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there. But you should watch Atlantics. I think even filmmakers should watch Atlantics and, study it, the style, the performances. So good. So good.
Thank you for the
So that's my recommendation.
And also,
Yeah.
just what Lala said is that I think it's also a wonderful thing if we do cross culture, like cross countries, and look at what's happening with our neighbors. I think Atlantics is Senegalese, right? And like look to see what are our neighbors doing, and not keep these imaginary borders of we're in this region of films, or English speaking films. That's even it's something that I think I agree with Lala in terms of that. Like it would be great for everyone to support other filmmakers, other films, and look at this despite the regional or language difference.
I absolutely agree. So, what is next for both of you? Would you potentially consider taking this topic to feature length, or are we working on more short films? We'd love to know what's next.
For me, I was literally talking about this yesterday. When we showed it, I think British High Commission, and they were asking us whether or not we were going to make a feature length out of it. So I was recently thinking about how that could be possible. That's something I'll discuss with Lala, but that's definitely something on my mind, to make a feature or just like a series of shorts, like what I said before about how when we went through the writing process, it actually brought so many other stories to light. So I'm thinking about a feature or like a series of shorts discussing the same or similar topics. And I'm thinking about it, and I'll see how that pans out. Hopefully it will.
Yeah, so Odenike has answered because she's the writer of the film, but I know that we have more collaborations to do in our future. That's speaking about both of us directly. I will wait for her if she extends it to a feature. I think it would be good because it will give us room to really, because in the film, and I know I didn't watch it with you guys tonight, but sometimes you just want to sit. You want to sit with the woman. You just want to sit and be still and let the camera just be on her and allow, it's awkward even for audiences when you're doing nothing, especially in this part of the world, in Africa. Like, what's going on? Nothing is going on. Just watch it and be uncomfortable because the character is uncomfortable, because there's so much going in the character's mind, and allow yourself to go in there, go on that journey, think things. And so that by the time there's movement, even you are like, oh, I want to go with them, or I don't want to go with them. So a short doesn't allow you to do that. There's still time. You have to still work with, duration, but a feature will. And then we can go into more areas of her mind and her world, and maybe still see nobody, but still make it a feature. So Odenike,
Lala, I like that you're saying it. See nobody. Make it a
I'm here for you. You know me. All you have to say is, give me the material. I'll go and find the money.
And
You know I'm here for
actually, I
you.
was going to say about that when Lala was talking about when Lala was talking about the issues that we had with production, I was going to actually let her go on and talk about everything because in my own mind, we do not have problems. And that is the dream of any director. Like I could see the problems, but they were just going away. And I'm like, okay, this is a producer to work with. Because it was just like I didn't feel the stress, and I'm very like I don't know who said HSP, highly sensitive, but anything that happens around me, I'm very, very conscious of. So when there's a problem, I'm like, oh shit. But like 2 seconds later, I'm like, okay, Lala has handled it. And she was acting, so that's the part that blew my mind. So yeah, if you are a filmmaker, you need producer. Just be aware that if you don't want problems, Lala is the producer to work with. But yeah, that being said, if you want to create more with Fine, it's definitely something that I want to work with Lala on because I know that, she understands that. I mean, as you can see, she understands the artistic part of it as well. So she understands, giving people room to create, giving you time, giving you what you need to make it perfect. Like, even after the post-production, I'm like, look, the sound is not good. We have to make it better. And she's like, okay, what do we need to make it better? She showed up for the voice, for the ADR. Lala is really, really busy. Really, really, really busy. And when she showed up for ADR, I was like, okay. I mean, I know it's your film and you want it to be good, but many people would just like postpone and, do the whole, I'm busy, let's do it another day. But she was really, really on it. So she's definitely somebody I want to work with on future projects and even making this into something bigger, for sure, 100%.
It sounds like
thank you.
great.
And then I just want to give a few people, like I see my people in the comment section. Ejiro, hi. We did training together. I'm seeing some comments. My girl Lamide is here. Lamide is just shouting me out.
Lamide's voice was in the film. Lamide.
Yes, Lamide's voice was in the film. Yeah, she was the broadcaster. And I think Odenike was just saying, oh, we need. I'm like, oh, yeah, Lamide is a fantastic journalist. She's got a great voice. So she recorded that bit for us. So when you're watching the film and you're hearing the journalist, that's Miss Lamide Akitobi's voice. So you see, I wasn't just surrounded by family.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if anyone in the chat wants to submit any questions for our filmmakers, you can do so now. While we're waiting for people to submit questions, I do have a question for you, Nadira. What is next for Nollywood Week? We are super excited about Nollywood Week. How can people submit? What's coming up next? What should we be looking out for?
So the submissions are currently open for Nollywood Week. So any director, filmmaker, producer that has a short film, feature film, animation, they are welcome to submit. We're on Film Freeway, so you just filmfreeway.com/Nollywood Week. It's very easy to find, very easy to submit. And the submission will be open, I think, until early March of next year. And I see someone said, what are we looking for in particular in terms of Nollywood Week? So yeah, so for us, I mean, that's a good question. So we are really particular about a good story. And by good story, we mean something that's authentic, something that is not a replica of something else, something that is a unique story. We also are looking for films of high production value, because one of the main aspects of Nollywood Week is that we show everything inside of a theater when we're able to do it live without the pandemic. So we show it inside of a traditional Parisian movie theater. And so it also has to be to those kind of norms in terms of the picture quality, the sound quality, the acting has to be on point. All of those things are very important to us. We want to show the best of Nigerian cinema and Black diaspora cinema to the world. So we are looking for, the best of the best in those things. But we're very open when it comes to like what the subject matter is and all of these other kinds of things. We're very open about that. But yeah, we are looking for like the creme de la creme. And yeah, so then that's happening, like I said, in May, from May 5th to 8th. Submissions are open now. So, if you have a film that is a recent film within the last year and a half, please do submit. Normally we do a year, but because of the pandemic, we've also kind of been lenient on that, like a year and a half for films that haven't been able to get out and have an audience. And we're excited because, like I said, we're open now with not just Nigerian films, but films from the rest of the diaspora. And we also start getting strong animations as well, which is something exciting.
Very nice, very nice. So I have invited Odenike back up, but maybe she's having some connectivity issues. And we don't have any
She's trying
questions.
to join back in. She says she's trying to join back in.
Okay, so I've sent her the invitation to rejoin. If she doesn't see it, she can ask to join as well, and then I can click on that request to let her in.
Yeah.
But if anyone has any questions, you could submit it using the question button now. If not, we will wrap up. Let's see if we can get.
Okay, she's back.
Okay,
I still like her table.
This is my collection.
Alrighty, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to everyone in the audience for sticking around, watching Fine, and being
Thank
here
you.
for the Q&A. Yeah, I'm so excited that everyone got to see it. Our next short film Saturday is going to be on January 8th. We are taking a little bit of a hiatus. So look out for that. Any closing words from our lovely filmmakers?
Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for joining. And thank you to everybody that was part of making this film. It was an amazing journey, and I'm so glad that we created this film and we started this conversation. I think it has helped a lot of people, and I'm happy that the conversation is more open in Nigeria now. So yeah.
Absolutely. So actually, we do have one question that just got sent in before I let you guys go. The question is, are Lala and Odenike more drawn to topical issues for film?
Lala, your name, they said it first.
Well, a part of me wants to say yes, because if it's topical, if it speaks to something, chances are I would be more excited about it, because in life, we don't have many platforms to use to say something or lend our voice to something. But then you have to be careful not to preach. I don't like films that are preachy, some people will say, if you want to send a message, go to the post office. Don't use a film, So the film still has to have the elements of drama, still has to entertain, etc., etc. But I feel like, yes, my answer to that would be yes, but I'm happy to do commercial films as well, because you got to pay the bills. You have to entertain people. And then when we look at our lives as human beings, not every day in your life is inspirational or topical. Some days are just days. We're just human people. So what happens to that? So yeah, that would be my answer. But yes, I'm more drawn to I think I like it when topical issues are beautifully wrapped in a story, and it's not obvious, it's not in your face. I love things like that. So
yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of the same and a little different. So for me, I think about entertainment, and then there's almost no way to run from something topical because of how we are socialized. So like someone like Lala cannot make a film where something misogynistic is happening in the film. Like, it will not fly, so it's just almost naturally going to happen where if I come across a script that has some, I'm sorry, bullshit in it that is, pushing for something wrong with my phone. I missed my phone. That's pushing for a narrative that doesn't stand well with me. I just will, if I really like the film, I just will change that part of the film. And that has actually happened before. After Fine, I have directed a few more things, thankfully. Fine gave me that push. And I remember seeing in some of the scripts certain things because of cultural issues. And I'm like, no, we will not do this. I mean, unless you want to find a different director, I'm sorry, I will not do this. And I changed the script there and then. So I think in general, I think in general, what I'm trying to say is, regardless of whether it is intentionally to be a topical issue, a film that's about a topical issue or not, there will always be something in there that addresses social issues because of the world we live in now, and we're much more sensitive to these things. And that's where I think Lala and I are probably coming from. Like, we're more sensitive to these things. There's no how something that could potentially be harmful to the world's mind would fly if we're involved in projects. So yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Alrighty, thank you again so much for being here today. Again, any final
final words? Again, thank you so much for showing our film. Thank you so much to everyone who watched it. Fingers crossed, we'll be telling you where and how to see it soon, hopefully. I've been very guarded about the film because, you're like, oh, and then we made this a long time ago. Oh, it's not good. Oh, I'm shy. You have imposter syndrome. So I'm going to try and let it go, and we'll see where it goes. So please look out, watch out, for that. And I just think we should just keep telling our stories, keep pushing. I've got a couple of films that'll be out soon, so keep watching, And yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you to everyone who worked on Fine with us. Thank you for the sacrifices, our crew members, everybody. Thank you so much. We also got some partnerships along the way. Joy Incorporated, Red Media, they helped us so much when we started. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for showing our
film. Really cool.
Yes, so if you guys are interested in our filmmakers here, make sure to follow them. You can literally just click on their squares to follow them, and you can see exactly what they have coming up. Soleil Space is going to be doing more short film Saturdays, so if you want to see more talks like this with amazing filmmakers, you can follow us. And Nollywood Week, like we have covered, is right now accepting submissions, so submit your films, guys. You can obviously follow the Nollywood Week account as well. Thank you everyone for being here today. It's been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.